So when the application launches, the view_did_load method of the view controller is called. This is a great place to start a new round. Define a method called new round. So again, where does it load? It's going to down here where it says view_did_load. So inside the view_did_load is where we're going to put the first round, and we put it inside that. Let me just see. Yeah, not inside. You don't have to put it inside there. So it can be outside, just in this area right here. So in this case, again, I'm on page 282 in the book there. We're going to put a override. And then it's going to be a function. Oh no, we already have the override function. What am I doing? Hold on. I'm just looking at the page 282. I'm trying to figure out where I need to put the code that I'm trying to there. So oh yeah, they want to put they want to call it inside here, but you make it below is what I'm trying to say. So you call it from inside there, but you can make it down in the down below. So to call it inside there, it's going to give us an error message. I'm sure of that. New, oh no, lowercase n. New round and round brackets like that. And so we need to make a function called new round. Again, it has a capital R. Of course, it's going to give us an error message because it doesn't know what new round is because we haven't quite made it yet. So we're going to go and make it right now. So the new round can be sort of above where the oh, no, it could be right there. So down here we can make a new round. So we're going to make it a function. And we're going to call it new round. Make sure you spell it the same, just like we did before with a capital R, round bracket, and then we're going to give it some data. And so in our new round, what does this mean to start a new round? Each round begins with a selection of a new word and resets the number of moves the player can make to incorrect moves allowed. Would be helpful to hold the state of the game inside a game struct. Create a new file in your project by selecting file new file, command N, and so on. So they want you to make a actually new file. So I think I was talking about this last time where we can take the logic of the game and make it into a new file. And so that new Swift file is a totally different Swift file than this. Again, the view controller is the things that you see on the screen here. But if it's just logic of a game, you can have it in another Swift file. So to make a new Swift file, and again, we're going to keep getting error messages here because it doesn't know what new round is at this point. It's okay. We'll add things here, but it's asking us to make the new file. Now, so to make the new file, we're going to go underneath File, New, and you go under the word File. So this is how you make a new Swift file. Again, File, New, File. Then it opens up this window, and you want to choose a Swift file. So you see the little bird right there. The Swift is a bird, right? And so you see the file right there, and you can say Next. It's going to ask you to give that file a name. The book tells you to call it game, so we're going to call it game like this. You don't have to give it the extension. It will put the Swift extension on it for you automatically. And then it's asking you where you want to put it, and you're going to put it in my apple pie project down here. Do you see it? So just leave that checked like it is right there. And then when you hit create, it'll show up. Where does it show up? Well, it just popped up right here, but if you go, you see a little arrow in the upper left corner, it allows us to go back. And then I'm going to close some of this and open up the side just so you can see it. You don't have to do this right now. I'm going to open up the side here, and you'll notice it shows up within my folder right next to where where the main storyboard is, where the view controller is. So it's another file that shows up over here. It's in your folder, my apple pie folder, because we had that checked when we were doing that. It's a totally empty kind of game file, and the import foundation is just like the basic things for the Swift file. The foundation would be all the resources that you have access to, the foundation resources for this Swift file. So to start this off, I'm going to actually go to this file. You can click on it right now. You don't have to worry about the interface. I know I have two Swift files open at the same time. It's okay, and I know we're getting error messages over here. It's all right, but we need to build something to make the new round is what I'm trying to say. So we're going to go over here to the import foundation, and underneath that, we're going to start with a a struct, and it's going to be called game, and it's going to have curly brackets, of course. And we're going to make some variables. Some of those variables would be the word. We need to store the word that is being worked on at the current point, so then we're going to call it a variable, and we're going to give it the word and a colon, and it's going to be a string because it is a word that has letters, and which is a string. Then, of course, we need to do a keep track of how many times they moved, and of course that is going to be a number. So we're going to make another variable, and that one's going to be incorrect moves with a capital M, and remaining, and that's a G, remaining, and then that's going to be a value, and so it'll be a integer, so it's an int. Okay, so we can now take these information that we have here, these new variables that we made in this struct called game, because we have a struct, and now we know that we can take this word game and use it somewhere else. We're going to use it back in the view controller now, and of course we know that we can take advantage of these things in here because we've already named it, right? Okay, so we learned that in the last week or the week after before that. So now we can come back to our new round, which is over here. Remember the function down here? I'm going to scroll down a little bit so we can see that. Let me move my window around. Let me put some returns here so it moves up so you can see it. Again, we're going to go over here to the new round. And in the new round, we can give it some basic information. First is a list of words that we want to give, as well as new word, current game, game, word, new word, incorrect moves, and so on. So we're going to use these two, this word right here, and incorrect moves inside this function over here. Okay, so the reason why we have these is we're going to take the word game and then add some values to these. Okay, so to do that, we're going to go into the function that we have over here, and we're going to put in a let, which is a constant, and we're going to put in a constant called new word, like that, with a capital W for word, and then we're going to have list of words with capital O and capital W for words, and then we're going to put a dot and remove first. Round bracket, and then we'll do current game, with a capital G, and then we're going to use the new struct that we just made and call it game, and then if you remember from your programming, you give it a round bracket and you can define the first word. Make sure you spell it the same with a colon, and then we have a new word with a capital W there, and then incorrect moves, new incorrect. Hell, you can probably almost copy this right here, huh? Let's just copy this. Save me time. Make sure I don't spell anything wrong, right? Incorrect moves remaining, and that's going to be a colon, and then that is going to be incorrect moves allowed. So we need to keep track of how many times they've done things. The other thing that they have on page 283 as well is they have a variable also called current game, and then they have the word game with an exclamation point. If you remember, the exclamation point means it can have a value that a temporary value, I guess. That's what the exclamation, if you remember that discussion that we had. And we haven't put that in that, have we? Where would I put that? Did we put that in already? The one here, this one right here. Remember we commented it out? We can put it in now because it knows what game is here. See, game? Game. So remember we commented this out because it was giving us error messages because it didn't know what game was in the original. So if we turn it off, we can put that in now, if you remember last week. So up there. And it's still giving me an error message. Still give me an error message here. Still give me an error message here. Expect member name or constructor called after. Expect member name or constructor call after type name. Add arguments after the type to construct a value of the type. I thought we already put the exclamation point in there. I don't know. Let's continue. We'll live with the error messages and so let's read in the book. Back in the new round method, you can create a new instance of game. You should create a property that holds the current game's value so that it can be updated throughout the view controller code. You can give the game a new word in the initializer by removing the first value from the list of words collection and set incorrect moves remaining to the number of moves you allowed stored in the incorrect moves allowed. So that was down here in this. It must be. Hold on, let me make this a little bigger so I can see it. We create an instance of game. We should create a property that holds the current game's value. Word is a string. New word. You can give the game a new word in the initializer by removing the first value from the list of words. That's what we have. Did we spell that all up here? List of words right here. It's right there. List of words is right here. And so remove first. So they're taking the first word, which was apple, I guess. And then, where was I? Oh, here we go. Remove first word and putting it into new word, basically. And then we have a current game, which the game is here, which has some properties of word and incorrect moves. So this one's initial. This is a value. Incorrect moves allowed. Where did we incorrect here? Incorrect moves allowed is 7. 7. So they have. We start with 7. They have 7 options, right? Because there's 7 trees or 8 trees, right? Okay, so I'm just trying to figure out where these values are going and what they're meaning to even myself here. All right, let's turn the page. Why does the current game variable have an exclamation mark at the end? For a brief moment between the app's launch and the beginning of the first round, current game does not have a value. This is a concept you'll cover in the next unit, but for now, just know that the exclamation mark means that it's okay for the property not to have a value for a short period of time. Again, that's what they're talking about here, even though I'm still getting an error message here. Now that you've started a new round, you will need to update the interface to reflect a new game. Create a separate method called update UI that will handle the interface updates, then call at the end of the new round. Inside this method, there are 2 pieces of the interface you can update with the code you've written thus far: the score label and the image view. The score label uses a simple string interpolation to combine total wins and total losses into a single string. Each of the tree images are named tree X, or of course we put the 0, 1, 2, 3 at the end, right? Where X is the number of moves remaining, you can use the string interpolation once more to construct the image name. So again, the next part of it is they're going to make another function that says update game, or update UI, update UI, and in the update UI, it will then update. And of course, in here they also have the ability to change things for the labels. That's what they're talking about for the labels. So underneath this new round here, we're going to make another function, and that function is going to be called update UI. So again, underneath the new round, we do a function, and it's going to be called update UI, all lowercase, update, and then UI is all capital, UI, update UI, round bracket, and then curly bracket, and then score label, which I believe is the name of the label that we put on the screen. I believe so. That where would the score label come from? It's up here. See it right here? We made this connection right here. So the word score label is coming from this up here. It's going to be the name of the box that's on the screen, and we're going to update it. What are we going to update it with? We're going to update it with some text. What is that? So again, this is connected to one of the labels that's on the screen up there. So if we go down here where it says score label right there, we're going to update it with some text. So we use the word text. And then equals, and of course we need to put this in some quotes. The first one's going to be wins. That's how many times they've won. And then we do a / which is basically the space. And then total wins. Total wins. Wins. W-I-N-S with a round bracket. And then the next one is losses with a / and then we have total losses like that, and then of course close our quote. So that should update the label that we have with the information. And then of course we need to change the image of the tree. If you notice up here, we have this right here. You can copy this if you want. This is the name of the tree image that is up there that's connected to the graphic that's on the screen. We're going to use that as well. The tree image right there, we need to update that because, you know, if they lose, of course, we need to get rid of one of the apples from the tree. So we're going to put that in there as well. Tree image view. And notice how I copied and pasted that way. I know I spelled it right, right? Okay. And then, of course, that's an image. An image is part of Swift. Knows what an image is. And then UI image is the code that is used to adjust or at least to talk about an image, or at least code an image on your screen. And then named, and then we have tree. Now, of course, if you're using your own images, you would use your name in there, right? Maybe you use flower. So if you made your own images, you would put flower in there, and then it's going to use the graphic here, current game, in course correct moves. Incorrect moves is a value that it didn't get the correct letter, basically. Remaining, and then we need to do quote, and then round bracket. Oh, I got 2 quotes. Should be something like that. Still got a bunch of errors. So now it says run your app. It's not going to work. So maybe you can help me figure out what I did wrong here. So this seems right.
Where you have declared current game, you have put equal to sign. Instead, you have to put comma.
Where?
Wherever you have declared current game. Up. Just go up.
Where?
Current game, you have put current game is equal to game.
Yes.
If you go up, you will find it. The variable declaration. Yeah. Yeah.
Current game?
It should be colon sign, not the equal to sign.
Oh. Like that? Yes? Did that fix it?
maybe it is this.
Okay, and then what about this one? Consecutive statements on a line must be separated by a colon. This is only in its own line.
You have one close upper, but you can't close upper.
Which wording here? Again, we just added the letters here for the title, and then this takes letter and make it lowercase, I'm assuming. This letter string. I don't know, it keeps giving me an error message about the character. Don't know why. So let's move on to the bottom of page 285. Now that you have the letter that the player guessed, what should you do with it? A game manages how many more moves are remaining, but it doesn't know which letters have been selected during the round. You should add a collection of characters to game that keeps track of the selected letters called guessed letters, and then add a method to the game that receives a character, adds to the collection, and updates the incorrect moves remaining. If necessary, by adding the guessed letters property, you will need to update the initialization of the current game. So in this case, when somebody clicks a letter, we're going to need to compare it, right? And then it needs to be stored somewhere. So they're talking about storing it in the game area called guessed letters. So we're going to go back to our game Swift file where game is right here, and we're going to add ourselves another variable, and we need to store the letter that I clicked on, and so they're going to call it variable guessed letters, and then you need to store it with a square bracket and character. At least, oops, no, not round bracket, square one. And of course now it's going to give me another error message. Oh, it fixed itself. In addition, we need to update where so they're going to make a new function here in the game one. Again, it doesn't like the word characters, but I don't know. I'm just going to go with it. It did work. So inside the game struct here, we're going to make a function that says players guessed, which is going to be, I guess, the letters that they have guessed. If I spell the mutating properly. Function player guessed letter, oops, and then character, and then we're going to put guessed letters, append letters, letter, not letters, letter. And then they have an if statement in there. If, and then they put an exclamation point. I guess word needs a value. Characters contains letter, let's subtract a value from incorrect moves remaining. And so we'll take, if they get it wrong, 1 minus, right? Did I spell incorrect moves again? I'm going to copy it again. Where is it? I don't know why I'm going to copy it and put it in here. What am I doing wrong? I swear I spelled it right. Did you see it? Huh?
S for moves.
Am I spelling it wrong? I don't know. Copying and pasting it seems to work, but when I type it, it didn't seem to work. I don't know what's going on with that. Yeah, I know. That's what it keeps saying to me. I haven't found a solution yet. But it seemed to work. You just get the error message here. Just says it says something about a string, and I haven't really thought about it. We can try and figure that out. And we still have new round error message over here too, huh? Anybody figure this one out? New round. Am I spelling it wrong? Let me copy this. I'm going to copy this. And paste it. There you go. Oh no, it still has a problem. Damn, that copy and pasting would help it. Okay, let's go back to the new round again. I'm on page 286, and maybe if we update the new round, we'll get there. So every time there's a new round, we need to do what? Well, we need to find out how many remaining moves are still there, right? Hey, they clicked the button, it stored the letter in letters, right? Letter, not letters with an S, letter. Then it matches it to see if it's one of the words. And then removes, if it's not right, removes one of the things, one of the pictures. Sort of what, because you're reducing incorrect moves by 1, right? And so, again, it's going to then go and adjust the image, is what I'm assuming. So let's go back to the new round down here. So function new round, current games remaining, incorrect moves allowed, and then they want to put the guessed letter in there. Guessed. So the guessed letter is the letter that they clicked on, and then they're going to store it in square bracket, square bracket. Oh, let's put a space in there. Letters with an S. Maybe I have to copy and paste that as well. It's this one right here. Let me try that. Copy and paste it in here. Nope, seems to work there. And then the last one is you need to update the UI in the new round. So we're going to take this right here and put it inside here. Did I?
Delete the nib dot on the new round. The second line for comment, because I think nib dot.
This?
The second line, there isn't no sign for comment.
That? Can we get rid of that whole thing? Hey, there you go. Now it came back. Life is hard. We'll figure it out. Expression resolved to an unused function. It's right here. It's a function right here. We need to update UI. So. Hold on. Let me pause this for a moment. Again, I'm on page 287, and we're going to, and again, the problem with the round was I put a space at the end there, so delete that. Okay, again, underneath the game, we're going to go back to the game Swift file, and we're going to make a string called formatted word. In that formatted word, we're going to guess. We're going to have a variable called guessed word, which is empty at this point, for letters in word characters. If guessed letter contains letter, guessed word, add that letter to the box. Remember, letter is, when they keep using the word letter, over here is the stored letter. Where are we storing that? Letter here, letter. So underneath the this round here, outside of this, we want to be outside of this one. We're going to make a new variable here, and that's going to be called formatted words. Formatted word, and that is going to be a string, and then we're going to have, and so then we're going to have another variable which is going to be the guessed word, and then we will have a for loop, characters, if the guessed letter contains the letter. So we have an if statement. If the guessed letters contains the letter, oh, getting all kinds of problems here. Why do I have two things here? If the guessed letter contains letter, what do we want to do? Well, we want to add to guessed word that letter. Else, add to guessed word a blank. So if it equals, again, / letter, else, guess word is going to be blank. That would be the shift one here. And then outside all this, we need to return a value. If you remember, you need to return the value. So you put in return, guess word, word, guessed word. Okay. I think I have too many round brackets here, huh? There we go. Oh. Need a space there. So again, here let's read on page 287 what this is doing and why do I still keep getting an error here. Okay, I think I have too many. This one goes with which one? This one. This one goes with this one. This one goes with this one. And this one goes with...
That bracket should be flipped the other way to the left of else.
This one right here needs to go this way. Right? Yes. Okay. Now I got too many down here. There we go. And they want equal instead of... So that should be plus. Okay, let's read again. To begin, create a computed property called formatted word, which is this one right here. So we got formatted word within the definition of game. This is game up here, right? Begin with an empty string variable. Empty string right here. Guess word. Loop through each character of the word. So they're going through characters, and I know it says this deprecated. I haven't thought about how to fix that yet. But again, word is here, so we're going to go for the letter and word. If guess letter contains letter, this is empty, but it will be filled where? Guess letters, where is it? Oh, that's this one up here. If guess letters contains the letter, then add the guess word, else guess word is blank. That's what I'm reading here. Now that the formatted word is a property that that your UI can display, try using it for the text of current word label inside of the update UI. So going back over here to the update UI, right here, they're telling you that you can add correct word label text game formatted word. So where's formatted word? This one right here, the one we just made. So they're talking about updated UI here, so we can add that to it. Now that formatted word is a property that your UI can display. Try using it in the text of current word label and inside update UI. So let's try it. C-U-R-R-E. Well, maybe I should just copy and paste. I'm going to end up having problems probably if I don't. So current word. Where's current word? I guess not. Correct word. I'm sorry. I'm reading it wrong. Correct word label. Correct word label is a text. So we know that that is text. And we're equaling it to game dot formatted word and again it doesn't like game here. Game should be uppercase G. So yeah, if you notice in the book there on page 287 they have a lowercase g. Oh, no. And should it stay lowercase g? Game? Got game here though. Correct word label dot text equals game dot formatted word. Use of unresolved identifier game, yes. It doesn't know what game is. We have a game here with a capital G. So correct word label. Where is correct word label? Hold on, let me make this bigger.
Shouldn't say current game dot formatted word.
Which one?
Current game.
Here?
Yes. Because if you define current game as game structure,
Hold on. Mm-hmm. Where does it define the correct word label? Is what I'm looking for. Let me turn the page and see what's on the next page. Build and run your application. Letters will be added to the guest letters collection as they are selected. They're selected. And formatted word will be recalculated whenever it's accessed in Update UI. Let me pause this for a moment. For letter in game, so this is on page 288. In current game dot formatted word dot characters and then letters dot append string letter and then after that they make a consonant called word with spacing. Let word with spacing equals letter joined and separator. And then they have two quotes in there to make it empty. So that's what I see on page, and I think I spelled joined wrong. Joined, J-O-I? Yeah, there's no D in there. Joined. So let's read what this says here. How can you imagine using the join separator method to set current word label? Start by converting the array of characters in formatted word into an array of strings. Use a for loop to store each of the newly created strings into a string array. Then you can call the join separator method to join the newly collected collection together separated by blank spaces. Okay, so I don't know. Whatever they had written there on page, at the bottom of page 287, where it says correct word label dot text equals game dot formatted word, it was giving us error message, but I just jumped to the next page and I see that they actually changed it there. So build and run your application. Letters will be added to the guest letters collection as they are selected and formatted. Will be recalculated whenever it's accessed in Update UI. You may have noticed a new issue because the multiple underscores appear as a solid line in the interface. It can be difficult to tell how many letters are in the word. One solution would be to add a space during your computation of formatted words but this issue is purely about improving the interface, not meddling with the computed data. A better solution would be to add the space when you update the text of the current word label. And so that's where the word with spacing comes in. Word with spacing. To properly set the text of current word label, you can use a Swift method called joined separator. That operates on an array of strings. This function will concatenate the collection of strings into one string separated by a given value. Here's an example, and then they show the example there. You don't type that in, that's just an example of what they're talking about. And of course you can see that each one is separated with a comma. So let's jump to page 289. Build and run your application to see a clear break between the letters and the underscore. Okay, we'll see. Let me play it. Oh, again, it's going to crash. Won't crash the first time, but it'll crash the second time. So again, you see it's a solid line. That's what they were just talking about, where you guess right here. See how it's a solid line? So it's not doing anything. That I guess this is what they're talking about. You don't know how many characters are in there, so it didn't quite work right. Build and run your app, you see the clear breaks between the letters and the underscore. Now it's a solid line is what I see. I see and my apples are not moving. And look, I can click on all the letters. And I can't get to Z. What if it's a Z? How do you determine if the game is playing? Build and run your see the clear breaks. There's definitely no clear breaks between these. So I don't know what they're saying there. Let me quit the simulator. You have breaks in yours?
Yeah, but I don't have tree. I feel tree on this.
Your tree is gone? Are you using iPad? You got breaks but no tree. I got a tree but no breaks. Wonderful. I think there needs to be a space in separator there. I fixed it. I think there needs to be a space inside here. That's what my issue was. So let me try it now. Again, I think you need the space in here because it's separated by a space. I didn't have a space in there. Let me see that. I think that's what it is. Because that separator is giving me a space in there. There we go. So that separator on at the bottom of page 288 needs to have the actual space. Now you can see how many letters are in there. So the first one is what? Apple. A. Do I have a P? I can't find a P. Oh, here. P, P, L. Where's E? Oh, I can't get the E. It's down there. Wonderful. Okay. But you understand the separator makes the little dashes, I guess, is what they're talking about on page 288. And then Apple Pie is starting to feel like a real game, except I can't guess no letters are showing up and so on. So do you want to do the final part, or do you want to wait till next class? I think we should wait. That way we can review and take our time and make sure we understand why it's doing what it's doing.
So we're going to be taking a test next month?
No. March 19th? Okay, you can save what you did if you want. I'll start where we left off. I got my space now here for the letters.